Yes, once again, thank you, Stone, for allowing us to do this interview.
Of course.
Yes, could we start by, could you start by telling us some of your background,
Sure.
introduce yourself? Yeah.
Sure. I was raised in Japan, and when I graduated from high school in 1988, then I moved to America where I joined the military.
I see.
And I went into the first Gulf War in 1991. Yeah, 1991.
All right.
And I spent 5 years in the Gulf, and then I spent another 5 years in South America.
I see.
So all up about 10 years in the military, and then I was medically discharged, and I trained in the IT industry, and I did webmastering. I was a software engineer, programmer, and after that was back in, I guess, 2000, 2001, when all the technologies were kind of
Boom.
yeah,
.com boom.
yeah. Well, that's what happened. It went boom, and after that, I decided that I wasn't going to work for anyone else ever again. I was just going to just do my business.
Yes.
And so along the way, I've had children, family, and I came back to Australia. So I came to Australia the first time in 2000 with the company that I was working with.
Right.
And that only lasted for about a year. And then I came back in 2005. And I have never looked back. It's just, I when I came in 2005, I had just finished uni. And I had made up my mind that whatever it took, I was going to not necessarily be successful, but I was going to contribute to people.
I see.
And that's what happened. And that's what's continuing to happen. I think with my business, my life, my family, there's never, I don't have a circumstance where I say, I've made it. It's just, what's next? What's next? What's next? That's, from what I've observed in life, that's what happens. We continue to grow.
Yes, I see. Thank you. Thank you. And so you spent your childhood, basically you grew up in Japan.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. That was. Yeah. A lot of people they joke around about that and they say, "Oh, well, you don't look Japanese." You don't. But yeah, I speak, read, write Japanese, and, but I haven't had an occasion to be able to use that since I've been in Australia or
America.
Yeah. But that's okay. I mean, that part of my life is finished, and Australia is my home now.
Right.
And my citizenship should be finished, I don't know, probably by Australia Day, so it's pretty exciting.
Okay, right.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can I just add on to that? What makes you choose Australia as your home? I mean, just out of curiosity.
So the population of Australia is about 26 million. That's also the population of New York City.
Yeah.
And Australia, as a culture, they're quite diverse, and there is a significant amount of opportunity when compared to other areas of the world. And because it's so diverse, Australia has grown up with a not a tolerance, but an acceptance of different cultures and different thinking. And for me and my values and my family, it's just been, this is the land of milk and honey.
Okay, all right. Right. So from the economic perspective or business perspective, you reckon they're still relatively young and still a lot of, it's not saturated yet in a way, right?
Well, from an economic perspective, I believe that anywhere in the world could work, whether someone's at the South Pole or economics is a function of adding value to the community.
Yes.
So as long as someone is committed to adding value and they can see things that are unseen, anyone can run a business anywhere. But the data shows that Australia is fairly insulated. They take care of themselves. There's still manufacturing in some areas, and so there's a great amount of opportunity here from an economic perspective.
All right. Thank you for your opinion.
Yes, thanks for that. Yeah. The next thing is we'd like to know how long you've been in this business that you're currently in, and how did this thing get started?
Well, I've been in the fitness industry for about 24 years.
Oh, right.
And in Australia, I've been running this business for the past 8, going on 9 years. And it got started because I knew that I wanted to contribute to my community.
Yes.
I also knew that when I got out of the military, I had something called PTSD, which is a post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, right.
And they put me on a lot of medications, and they didn't necessarily work.
Right.
However, being engaged in fitness and looking after my health, that significantly raised my own dopamine and serotonin production.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I wanted to share with people. I wanted to, because there are thousands of other people who are in my situation. Now, maybe they didn't go to war,
Right.
but maybe they had similar situations where they may have been experiencing depression or other psychological issues, or maybe they have never known about health and well-being.
Yes.
And so I thought that this would be a great way for me not only to support myself, and when I say support myself, I'm talking about making sure that from a health perspective, I'm a contribution to my family.
Wow.
But I also thought it would be great to do that for the community of Australia as a whole. Australia has the highest incidence of preventable disease in the world. More than 60% of the population is obese and overweight.
Yes.
So there's a lot of challenges, and I thought, well, it's something I could add value to.
I see. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Right.
great.
Okay. Now the next question is how are you different from other people or other players in the industry, or how is your brand different?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. We're in the first instance, and this is just my belief system. We are all one person.
Yes.
Like you and I, and we're not separate.
Yes.
If we look at this as a human body, you're a cell, I'm a cell, and we're all here to support the human body.
Yes.
How I support the body is I look for the people that I resonate with the most easily,
Yes.
or I know that I can connect with them. When I first started, I was trying to be everything to everyone, but that's exhausting.
Yes.
So I only focus on my niche, and I don't tell them that there's only one pathway to health and well-being. There are many ways. There are millions of ways. I share with them that they should find what works best for them, where they're going to be most empowered.
Yep.
How can they get something that's going to give more love to not only themselves but to their families and their community. So I would say that's probably one of the most significant differentiations is in the way I think, and the way I think is not an intellectual exercise. Those are my values. So I don't have to work hard at it, and that gives me a lot of flexibility because my clients are able to see that I'm doing what I'm doing because of my passion and my love,
Yes.
not only for the idea, but also for them as human beings.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
basically, it's just being yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly right.
Right.
So I'm myself, and I don't try to be other people. And I invite people to come, and I say, if you like this style of training, great. I can throw in my massage hat. I'm a Lomi masseur. I also do hypnotherapy.
Yes.
I'm an NLP trainer. So I can do several different flavors of the same thing.
Yes. Thank
Right.
you. Thank you. Right. So I personally think that your military training is also a great plus in this, because you're bringing in the things that you have learned, the experience that
Sure. Sure. That provides some structure and systems to the business, and it also enables my clients to understand that being healthy is not difficult. It's just a matter of having a plan and executing that plan on a daily basis, having a structure for success, which anyone can do. And everyone actually has success in a particular area. And what I do is I show them how they have success in these other areas so that it can then be transferable to their health and well-being.
Yes.
Right.
Thank
Right.
you. Thank you. Yes. Now, what are some of the advice that you would like to give to people that are new to this field or to this industry, people that are just starting out in
To
general?
health and well-being?
Yes.
In this, there is, and I'll try to be brief with the question, but that question is multifaceted.
Yes.
Because Australia has such a high incidence of preventable disease and obesity, the government has a push to get as many people as possible into health type activities, whether it's a personal trainer, physio, all those things that are going to keep the population healthy. The thing is that the way they're creating that is they are, for instance, you might have a doctor, and that doctor knows that he or she needs to be focused on cause. What is the cause? But they are inundated with so many different, well, not so many different, so many of the same types of issues that resignation starts to develop. And rather than managing cause, they're only looking at symptomology. And so they're putting Band-Aids on symptomology, and the whole thing is getting worse. So that is what is plaguing the entire health system. If someone wants to be in this, they want to be successful in this system. Number one, they need to look at cause, and number two, they need to be clear on what their niche is.
Yeah.
They don't have to be everything, and they don't have to be on TV, and they don't have to, make a big name for themselves. They just need to find a community of people that they connect with,
Yes.
that they can give value to. I mean, last year there was a woman, and she was in a regional area. She trained 1,000 people. She's an older lady. She's about 55.
Wow.
What's so significant? And you might say, 1,000 people, that's not a lot. But in her town, there were only 5,000 people.
That's 1/5 really.
Yeah, so it was significant.
Yes.
And there weren't a lot of other trainers in her town, but she did what she could.
I see.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Excuse me.
No worries.
Just go ahead.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, done.
Can you give a practical example when you talk about cause and effect, because not everyone can really relate to that?
Okay, so someone may go into they'll go into the doctor because they have a backache.
Yeah.
And the doctor will say, okay, and the doctor's just looking at the symptoms. Okay, well, you probably have a backache because maybe you are unhealthy, or maybe you're obese, or maybe,
Yeah.
Here are the reasons for the backache. They don't go deeper into finding out, well, what caused the backache? And let's deal with, and sometimes people, that backache could have been caused because they're stressed.
Yes.
But the doctor's not going to ask those questions. Most doctors don't ask those kinds of questions. They just deal with the symptoms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me put a Band-Aid on it. Here's some pills. Here's go talk to a physio so you can strengthen your back. And by having that approach, as opposed to dealing with the cause. Now, if the doctor had bothered to ask, when did you notice? And what was going on in your life?
The lifestyle, the diets, everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when they can do that, then they can get to so you just had a new baby, your husband's left you, you're not working,
Yeah.
of course you're going to be stressed.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, I have some resources. Here, let me introduce you to my friend. They are looking for somebody just like you to work in their company. backache gone.
Right.
So, and that's what I do with my clients. I have an assessment form, and I find out everything that's going on in their life. Have they had any psychological challenges in the past? Have they been diagnosed with things? What kind of health issues are they currently having? And why do they want to train with me? Sometimes someone may come in and say, I have a backache, but that's not really what they have. You know, sometimes it's, you know, I'll have a woman who will come in and she might say, really great question, by the way. She'll come in and she'll say, I just want to lose 5 kilos. And I'll say, why? And she'll say, well, I think that would be healthier. And, well, why do you want to be healthier? Well, I just want to feel better. And when you feel better, what does that mean? How does that look? Well, when I feel better, my husband will pay attention to me and, oh, so now we're getting close to what's really going on. And tell me about that. So when your husband pays attention to you, what's going to happen? Then I'll feel valued. So she didn't want to lose the 5 kilos because she thought she wanted to feel valued.
Yeah.
So if I didn't go through that process to find out what's the cause, then I can't really deliver service. And at some point it's going to become difficult. And so if it's difficult, she loses sight of why she really came, which was because she wanted to be valued. So when I make a link to her health and well-being and her value as a person, that's when they flourish. So really great question. Yeah. So I hope I explained the question.
Thank
Great
you.
answer from you, sir.
Yes. I think, that reminds me a bit of like when I see a friend, he practices Chinese medicine. So he will ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I went there for acupuncture. Haven't been there for some time, but to him, everything is related.
Yes.
Yeah. So the way we live, the way we eat, the way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, even, you know, I do a seminar for my clients where I teach them about Taoism and how to put together the right combinations of foods, because certain foods are not appropriate for different physiologies. Like Western people, they tend to they'll put starch with a protein, which negates the acid in the stomach. So then they end up with bile and you know, festering things in their intestines, and
Constipation.
exactly, and they feel lethargic after they eat, and they don't know why. They're just like, oh, I eat, I need to take a nap. Food, and this is just my opinion, food is meant to energize us and enliven us, not make us feel sluggish and you know. So, but Western people, they don't think about that. So with what I do, I share all these things with my clients constantly, so that they don't only get the fitness aspect. The fitness is multifaceted. It's more than fitness is a tool. It is a tool that I use so that people get their life. When we can manage our temple, our physiology, everything else is manageable. I mean, we can get a new car, a new house, a new career. We can move to a different country, but we're always left with our body, our physiology. And when we master our physiology, then we can master everything. Anything.
Right.
Yeah, so you need to face yourself first.
Exactly.
Rather
Have
than-
awareness.
Yeah, rather than, you know, like blame it on the external factor that causes whatever
Exactly right.
environment that you are in.
Exactly right. And that you know, you bring up a really excellent point. Sometimes people say, why Australia to me? You know, why did I come to a country where I had no family, no real connections or anything? And I'd say, why not? Why not Australia? This is a beautiful country. I mean, anyone can do anything here. And at the end of the day, you know, when I came here, all I could rely on was myself, my determination, my commitment, my passion. And that's something that anyone can do.
Right. That's right.
Yes. Right. Thank you. Right. Now, I do understand that what you're offering here is really like people will pay a lot of money to get that, rather than get to save some money, but they're getting things that are not so helpful, all right? Trainers that are just, using Band-Aid, which doesn't solve a problem. I mean, there are many gyms around here, everywhere. They have this, you just pay $5 a week, and you get this and get this and get that. But, it's the quantity but not the quality, right? So how do you also reach out to people who can't afford, those things, but they need those help? I can see that everybody needs that, in fact, right?
Well, in regards to people who can't afford my prices, and actually I'm probably one of the most affordable. Our prices are quite low compared to everyone else in the industry. But for those that are still not able to pay, I have a referral program where they're able to refer, depending on how they come in. If they come in at a lower level, then they refer 5 people, and they have training for a year for free.
Yes.
And if they come in at a higher level where they want one-on-one coaching, then they refer 3 people, and they get coaching for about 90 days. And 90 days is usually the time it takes to turn someone's life around.
I see. Wow, that's great.
Great.
Yeah.
So
Another question. Yeah, you have any questions? Yeah.
all right. So so I got this. Just want to find out what is some of the lessons that you have learned, as your entrepreneur career goes on.
Well,
that you learn from your entrepreneur careers.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I was in the military, and the military, my experience of it is that there was a very black and white, a 1 and a 0. Everything was a system in the way it was done, and there was no real deviation from that. And
no creativity as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I brought that mindset to this country, and when I was training people, I didn't have any empathy. If they, were overweight and they couldn't do something and they started vomiting and it was just really hard and they were crying, I had no empathy. I didn't understand. I just thought, suck it up, hurry up.
Military style.
And that was only useful for a very small percentage of the population who want that style.
Yeah.
When I started to develop compassion and empathy, then the people who wanted that style, they started to flourish even more. And what I've learned is that, and this is just through observation in nature and observing the human body, the human body does not flog itself. It doesn't beat itself up. It nurtures itself. And we can have that example even, when you're walking through your house and maybe you might stub your toe, your whole body, the pain receptors, alert the brain, and the brain says, there's pain.
Yeah.
The whole body stops for just this one little tiny toe.
Yes.
Stops
Experience
to stop and massage and make it feel better. That's what it does. And so when I became aware of what I was doing and how I was being and how I was thinking, then I realized that having this one way of thinking and one way of delivering the message was not appropriate. Another way of saying that is, if I have a client who speaks Japanese, I'm only going to speak Japanese to that client. I'm not going to speak to them in another language that they don't understand. And so I became aware that there are different ways of relating to people. There are different ways of connecting with people. And so I started developing a skill set for speaking to people who learn more by listening, or speaking to people who learn more by seeing things visually, or speaking to people who learn more by they have to feel. And so by doing that, I was able to build a greater community of support for this idea.
Still go to the same destination, but in a more efficient and effective way.
Correct.
Different methods. Right?
Correct. So if I were to say everything that I just said in a sound bite, what I've learned along the way is to exercise compassion and empathy
Okay.
for my clients.
All right. Great. So that is also to be effective for the clients and as well as ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when I started doing that for others, I noticed that I first started with myself. So the more compassion and empathy that I had for myself and taking care of my well-being, I noticed that I wasn't as angry as I used to be when I first got out of the military. And, my testosterone levels, everything is still very high. I'm still the same person, but I'm using a different filter, a different lens, whereby to be able to serve my community.
What you're saying sounds a lot like being intolerant to others is exactly like being intolerant to yourself.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Right?
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes. Well said.
Which makes a lot of sense if you come to think about it. If you are intolerant on others, you get angry on others. Actually, all this is coming back to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That means you're intolerant to yourself.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
With a lot of my clients, when I first meet with them, I usually have a big smile on my face, and I'm just really curious about what's going on in their life, and what can I do that would make a difference for them so that they have a wow experience for the rest of the day. I used to have a set program, and they could not leave until that program was done.
I see.
And that's kind of like having a great big dinner and not letting your kids leave before they finish everything on their plate, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's old school. How come they can't leave when they're finished, when they're full, or when the body has everything that it
Yeah,
needs?
that's right.
So there's no point. So I stopped, forcing them through this way of doing things, and I just gave them exactly what they needed for that day.
I see.
Because if they were empowered by the session, then they're going to keep coming back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Great answer.
Great answer. Thank you for that. Yeah, I have one question. Any more questions?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, Ilya?
I have a couple of blocks.
Oh,
please.
okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I have one question, not so related to the topic that we were talking, but I think you're the right person. Right now, people are facing a lot of challenges. Australia, if you read the newspapers, you have the, listed companies, they're leaving, retrenching staff. You go to Bridge Road, small shops are closing down, restaurants are closing down. So I'm sure there are a lot of stress around.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of advice do you give to Australians in general?
They're having a tough time.
Having
now,
a tough
having it
time.
tough now at
Yeah.
this stage,
Yeah.
Well, I think immigrants are really well placed to answer that kind of question, or anyone who can be creative.
Mm-hmm.
When someone has been doing business or they've been doing something in a certain way for a long time, inevitably, as time goes on, circumstances are going to change.
Yep.
And as human beings, we have a choice on how that change is going to affect us. With my business, when I first got to Australia, doing fitness boot camps was it. It was the rage. It was the biggest. Everyone wanted to do fitness boot camps. And now fitness boot camps, everyone does boot camps. It's like, who cares? No big deal. You see this, you see that, what?
It's a norm. Yeah.
So what I did is I changed the way my fitness boot camps were done. I took away the per session cost. I created a membership fee so you could have unlimited access. I included value propositions. So when they come, they get a T-shirt. They get my workout DVD. I also take all my clients out to the comedy club.
Oh.
So it's not just fitness. We meet together. There's so many other groups where you rush in, you do your fitness, and then you get out.
Yeah, that's right.
But my organization is community. It's a family.
Relationship building.
Exactly. I have people who come to my class who they end up finding their partner for life.
All right.
I had a woman she met her partner, and then 2 years later they got married, and now they're having children.
Ah.
And they met through the class.
Oh, yeah.
So those
Great
are the
contribution.
Exactly.
So basically, we're growing the next generation of participants in the community.
Yeah. That's another client for life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So businesses need to learn to be adaptable. It's just like families. And families, sometimes the parents, they have to get a new job.
Yeah.
They change. They don't just lose their job and say, okay, I can't do anything, because then they can't take care of their family.
Evolve, right? Evolution.
Yes,
Evolve. Yeah.
yes, and that's what everyone does. And I do speak to a lot of business owners because I also do a lot of public speaking, in particular about business, but the impact of health on business. And a lot of them will say, oh, well, what about the global financial crisis, and what about this, and what about that? We get what we focus on. A few months ago, I did a workshop for a group of women in the Bellarine Peninsula, and I said, okay, so what would make this a wow experience for you? And everyone's hand raised, and they said, well, I want to know how to manage my employees who just don't produce, and I want to know how I could get more money with less time because I'm spending 18 hours a day at my job and it's just not working, da da da. And so everyone had this gripe. So I wrote it all down. Then I tore the sheet off, balled it up, and I put it in the trash. And I said, okay, I have one answer that's going to resolve everyone's question. Are you ready for it? And everybody's like, they're sitting on the edge of their seat, they're ready. And I said, in the circumstance of your employees, what if your employees are only producing based upon the person that you are being at your job? And the whole room was quiet. And I said, so rather than looking to the outside, let's look inside. Let's look at who we are being when we go into our business. Let's look at who we're being when we're going home. Do we take our business with us home? Do we? Of course you do, because you're one person. We're not schizophrenics. We're the same person everywhere.
Yeah.
But who are we choosing to be in that moment? Are we choosing to be a blessing? Do we have a foundation of gratitude with how we interact with people? Or are we
It's very
complaining?
refreshing. And it makes a lot of sense, right? It makes a lot of sense.
So that was an amazing workshop. And then I got everyone to stand up, and I said, look, business is not what you think it is. It is not about sales. It is not about closing the deal. It is not about your marketing plan. So I had everyone stand up, and I said, I want you to go to the person that's next to you, as long as it's someone that you don't know, and I want you to give them a big hug. And I had them give them a hug, not one of the where you pat the back. You have to hold them for at least 30 seconds. 30 seconds, and just be with them. And the whole energy in the room, it changed. And everyone just felt really, they were like, wow, I feel great. And I said, this is business. Business is relationships.
Yes.
It's not making a sale. It's how do you add value to another person? How do you contribute to another person? So that's what I would share with businesses who are going out of business, or maybe they're having a difficult time. Stop focusing on the difficult time and start looking at how, with the resources that they have, can they add value to their community.
Thank you. Yes.
And by having that mindset, you are putting control back onto your hands rather than
Exactly.
someone else, right?
That's exactly right. That's being at cause as opposed to being at effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
Question 5 was something, I think it's this one. Oh, one of the biggest points which kind of pops out was your how do you pronounce it? Paralyzed, being paralyzed.
Yeah, it's a
you
paraplegic. Yeah.
and you overcame that, and that you know, it's like, okay, it's for granted, you just did it. That's a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very curious, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And what was the driver to
Yeah.
why can't everyone do that? What did you do different? Because usually you stay like that, right?
Yes, yes. So I had an accident in the military, and I ended up losing feeling from my waist down. So I was in a wheelchair for about a year,
I see.
and when the doctors told me that it would not get better, it would get worse, I was angry because I didn't believe them. I never, you know, it didn't make sense to me. I wasn't going to believe something like that.
Yeah.
And I believe that what I do differently from what other people might do is I choose the outcome that I want. And I have more than a belief that that outcome is, it's a way of being for me. So even though I would be laying in bed and, you know, I was in excruciating pain all the time from my back and not being able to have movement in my feet and legs, even though I didn't have any evidence, I still knew that I was. I didn't say I was going to walk. I said I was going to run,
Okay.
and I was going to be even more powerful, stronger than I was before.
This is what you choose to believe in.
Yes, that's what I knew. That's who I
You
was.
knew. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So no one could tell me different. You know, I'd be walking down the street. I had these forearm crutches, you know, that so I could try to get some mobility.
Yep.
And people look at me and they say, "Oh, poor guy, you know, he's in the military and that's what happens." And they serve their country and look at him now. He has 2 kids and how is he? But I just ignored them. I ignored all of that because that wasn't who I was being. And so then when one day I was able to feel my toes and there was no, I mean, there's a little bit of pain, but I could feel my toes. I was like, this is it. So 2 weeks later I was walking, running, not full on running like I used to, but I was moving a lot faster. And I went back to the gym and I never left.
All right.
And so I just stayed in the gym knowing and believing and having my heart, my soul as a, how can I explain this? As a beacon, as a as the guide for what my physiology was and is. So my physiology is, and this is just an idea, my physiology is a representation of, at my soul, who I've decided to be. So now I'm 43, you know, I'm stronger than most of my clients, even the professional athletes that I train. I have more flexibility, more vitality, more energy.
Oh, by the way, you don't look like age 43.
Yeah,
Thanks.
not at all.
Much younger.
Yeah.
So, I'll continue to be that way. That's, you know, that's
So what you're
the choice
saying
I've
is
made.
your mental power is
Not even mental power, because sometimes people can't always put 2 thoughts together. It's more at the core.
all right.
It's more
The belief.
the who we're being. It's
Feeling.
key.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Qi.
Chi.
Oh,
Qi.
Qi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Japanese call Qi,
Oh.
whereas the Chinese is Qi. Yeah,
Yeah.
the kanji, right? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
That's right. Qi. Yeah.
So
Energy.
Energy. Yeah. Energy. Yeah.
so this energy is it's everywhere. It's in everything, and it's unlimited, and anyone can tap into it.
So the doctor, he had to eat his own word.
Yes, yes. A lot of people, have said, "Oh, it wouldn't happen." Even my own family, they thought it was quite odd that I would go to Australia.
So you say for example, if for an average human being would have listened to the advice of a doctor, he would have like mentally
Given up, yeah.
locked out the
Yes.
hope of being able
Yes.
to walk again, right?
Yes, and that's another thing that's really important about every single human being on the planet. It is so important for us always to have a mindset of having a foundation of gratitude and to always be a blessing to others, because we don't know how our words are going to impact another person at the right moment. Sometimes someone could be going through the most horrible time, and it takes so little effort to be a contribution, just even to smile or to give someone a compliment, a well-deserved compliment. You just never know. So I mean, I've been fortunate in that I don't like for people to tell me what to do, so I create my own path. But that's not the way everyone.
But your mindset, that what you're saying, that being feel gratitude and be a blessing to others, is so much different from your military background, which is totally.
Well, there are some similarities.
Similarities.
Yeah, the similarities is in that the military is very collectivistic. So in Japan, everything was collectivistic. It was your community, your family, your employer. They were all first.
Yeah.
Individual is last.
Oh, okay.
And that's how it is in the East.
Yeah.
Western is more.
Individuals.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I make no judgment about which one
Yeah, just
is.
comparison
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
observe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we look at the human body is collectivistic.
Yes.
It works for the better of the whole.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
What was that? When you think about economic opportunities, economical opportunities, why would you how shall I put this? Thinking of economical growth and therefore opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Which country or region would you consider to be more interesting?
More interesting.
Southeast Asia or Australia or even US. Although US, many people say it goes down, others say it's a huge bubble. Yeah, I personally believe strongly in Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I also got your point that it's only a way of thinking. You can be wherever you want on this planet and you make it. Yet, my dear friend Michael has a great saying. How do you put this?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Always position yourself in the most advantageous situation.
Yeah,
So
exactly right.
Yeah, I watched I shared this story with Ilya before. It's like, for example, if you watch a documentary on how grizzly bear hunt salmon fish.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very smart, right? I mean, like, if you would train the grizzly bear to jump in the water and chase after the salmon, it won't happen because, right?
It's too fast.
The salmon is too fast. But nevertheless, the grizzly bear feed on salmon. But how they do it is like they know instinctively. They know that when the salmon wants to lay the eggs, during a certain time of the year, they will swim upstream and of the river, and then he will just position himself there, and then the fish will just, because they need to power, against the tide, and then they will fly up from the stream, and then they just fly just right into the mouth of the grizzly bear.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I believe that there's more economic power in Southeast Asia, and that's only because labor costs are significantly lower than they are here in Australia, and there are more people. So more people means more opportunity. But as far as having security and processes and systems in place, Australia is a better bet. So it really depends on the individual. I have several friends that have moved to Vietnam, who they've set up thriving coaching businesses for expats and for a lot of government agencies there, and they're doing really well, and they're adding a lot of value to the economy. But for me, obviously, I'm biased. You know, I love Australia. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like really, I mean, like you can see the advantages in both places, but
Yes.
it's just that depends on what you're focused.
Exactly.
What do you focus on in your life?
Yes. The other thing is for my industry, Australia works better fitness-wise because in Japan I couldn't, you know, while they're building a lot of gyms, it's still not part of the culture to go to a gym because their diet, and this is a generalization, fish, vegetables, you know, a lot of very healthy things.
Yes.
So they don't have the incidence of preventable disease that's here in Australia.
60%.
So exactly. So when you're talking about that grizzly bear catching the salmon, well, me here, I'm that grizzly bear catching the salmon because there's so many people who have preventable health diseases here.
I see. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Right. Yep. So wonderful. Thank you so much for all your wonderful answers.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
We
Stone.
appreciate your time.
Yes.
It's our
all of
honor.
them. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.